I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:01 PM. For roll call, we have Tony, Cara, Geraldo, Assistant Corporation Counsel, Brian, and Michael, myself. We have nobody new to introduce. Do we have any public participation?
It looks like there are no attendees right now.
Sounds good. Let us know if that changes and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Minutes. We have minutes from April. That why don't you go through and briefly review at least yep, all three of us. Good. And see if we can approve those minutes for April 1st. Take a moment. Any revisions on the April minutes that stand out to anybody? Or is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Cara Murphy.
Second, Geraldo Williams.
Yeah, what's the date of the minutes, Michael? Is it April 22nd?
That's what it says. That is the right date, correct?
If so, let me double check real quick. Hold on.
Yep, I'm looking myself. Yep, April 22nd is accurate. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? All abstained? Motion carries. For the May minutes, Cara, would you just like to move to approve them and I'll second since it's just you and I?
Sure. Cara Murphy, so moved.
Michael Church, second. All in favor? Aye. Geraldo and Tony will abstain because they weren't there for May. And motion carries. Excellent. Now to the fun part of the agenda. I know we haven't been working on the Citizens Guide too long, so it's probably a foreign document, but feel free to reimmerse yourself. Hopefully tonight, we've already been over this. We just ran out of time last time and wanted to just look at it with fresh eyes and ultimately approve the changes that we had recommended last time. Brian, was there anything to your recollection that stands out of conversations we needed to specifically have, or should we just go red line by red line and just sign off?
Let me look at it real quick. Hold on one second. That's done.
And this was for the 22nd, presumably, meeting.
Yeah, on April 22nd, we went through all this, and as opposed to staying much later to sign off on it all, we said that we'd sign off on it at the next meeting.
Yeah, so on the first page, it's just inserting whatever date that we approve the final revisions to the Citizens Guide, so nothing big there. Minor grammatical changes at the bottom of page 3 under what is expected. We put in some parentheses. Nothing big there. There were some changes on page 4 under prohibition of special consideration, officers and employees. We kind of tried to simplify the language. I remember we talked about that for some period of time. And then on page 5, about midway down the page in the bullet points, close to employment, just above it, discounts in the normal course of personal business. We talked about that for some period of time
Mhm.
at the last meeting. Nepotism, we added at the top of page 6. Procurement, we just added with the city. That's a pretty minor change.
Mhm.
And then we might be, on page 8, we just added remainder of page intentionally left blank so that people wouldn't think that something was
Cut off,
Um,
yep.
off. And then we have Kara's 2 flow charts, which will be very helpful for people to follow.
Mhm.
And then the rest of it, I think, is
Page 16.
page 16. I shouldn't have said anything. Page 15, page 16, we added home address as opposed to just the address,
Mhm.
to be more specific. And then the only other thing that would need to be added is that isn't in here, so that people don't have to go to 2 separate places, again, just to simplify everything. When this is finalized and approved, part of the approval will be knowledge that the entire code of ethics will be attached on the bottom at the top of page 17 under number 4, City of Norwalk, Norwalk Code of Ethics, Chapter 32. The current code has now been updated completely. So once we approve this, it will also be the approval of inserting the Code of Ethics underneath this so that people can access the Code of Ethics within this document. Those are the only changes that we had.
Excellent. Now I pose it to all of us here. Hold on one sec, Geraldo. Is it easy for us to approve all changes, or should we go change by change if there's a discussion to be had on something particular? Geraldo, this may go if you have a question on something particular.
I have something particular. So, and
Okay.
to answer your question, since you have a question out there, I would think we should just review it individually. So we are.
All right. So then I'll just start with, if everybody can look at,
I'll share the screen, Mike.
All right.
I'll share it.
But
There you go.
I did have a question also.
Yep.
all right. So go ahead, Geraldo. What's your, is it
Yeah.
pertaining to this document?
It's to the document, yeah. In the first paragraph, the last sentence,
On which
Okay.
page?
page 3,
Page
the
3. Hold on.
introduction page. You know what? It's page 1. It's page 3 of what you sent us.
Yep.
Because in the first paragraph, introduction,
Yep.
the last sentence of that first paragraph says, if there's any conflict of discrepancy between this guide and chapter 32, chapter 32 governs. But somebody reading this will know what we're speaking about with chapter 32, because the first reference to that chapter 32 is the following sentence. So I would recommend moving that portion about if there is any conflict somewhere below, maybe it's after C, after it presents the different items, to just pull that sentence down to the bottom of number 1C.
So I'm trying to think through that.
We could put it after the paragraph under C says, this guide
This
provides
guide.
general information
That's
only.
correct.
The description of the law and the code are not intended to be exhaustive. A complete copy of the Code of Ethics and the Citizens Guide are available on the city's website. We then could insert it there and say, if there is a conflict, any conflict or discrepancy between this guide and chapter 32, chapter 32 governs, so that there's no confusion as to what chapter 32 is. You've already read what
That's
Board of
correct.
Ethics is and chapter 32 of the City of Norwalk Code of Ordinances, so they know that we're talking about an ordinance.
Yeah.
We could do that.
I have no objection to that.
Let's do it.
I'm going to copy that. You'll see that there, oh, hold on, I got to undo it. We need the red lines here. So we're going to take that out there, and then we're going to add it down here at the bottom. Okay.
All right. Well, since we're not doing the date yet on page 1, why don't we start with this one? And do I have a motion to approve this change as written? Kara makes the motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Tony seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
All right, so Michael, just so you know,
Mm-hmm.
obviously the date on the first page, not an issue. There's no changes on the second page.
Right.
On the third page, before we got to Geraldo's recommended change, right above that sentence that we just crossed out, you'll see that contractors was crossed out. So I don't know if that was just a discussion or whether, I don't remember if we did a motion on that change at the last meeting.
I had a question on that.
Go ahead.
That's curious to know why it was removed, because I thought that the code of ethics actually governs the employees, which are the permanent employees, the temporary and the contract and the contractors.
I'm going to pull up the definition of officer and employee and see if that resolves the issue, Geraldo.
Okay, or specifically on employees. I'm not concerned that officers understand it's elected and appointed officers, but employees, generally employees, like, there are three classes of employees, usually the permanent employees, the temporary employees, and the contractors.
Right, so employee is defined as, here, I'll put it up on the screen, hold on. Share screen. Employee is an individual employed by the city or any of its agencies, whether classified as a, I need to unshare the full screen, hold on.
I see it.
An individual employed by the city or any of its agencies, whether as a classified employee, unclassified, permanent or temporary, full-time or part-time employee, or individual employed by contracts that include contractors on a continuing basis, and all employees of the Norwalk Public School System. So employee kind of brings everyone in, and then officers, or officer, an individual elected or appointed. So employees is talking about the people that are hired and paid, and the officers are the elected or appointed volunteer, mostly volunteer positions.
Okay, may I again? So my question is similar to how the officer specifically states officers, and then it lets you know both appointed and elected. It even states that here. I think that with the employees, whether we put it in parentheses and put permanent, contractors, etc., whatever is defined in the definition section, because in the user's guide, someone is looking at this, they may not be aware, and as they look at this, just like how it guides them through the officers, and it says elected or appointed officers. I think my recommendation is to put something to.
I'm going to split my screen. As long as everyone's okay with that recommendation, we can work on what you want to put in there.
Just pull something from the definition of employee where it's
You want after City of Norwalk employees, you want in parentheses unclassified, comma permanent,
perfect, yes.
or temporary, comma full-time or part-time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even care if it's full-time or part-time, but at least all the others, so people would be aware that it is something that applies to the non-permanent, the contracted employees, and the temporary employees as well.
I think the easiest thing to do, quite honestly, would be to just delete both appointed and elected, because employees and officers are defined terms, and they are they're both capitalized here. But
Can't we also make a reference this way? We try to minimize, the additional, verbiage, and just mainly say according to, section 32.3, governed by the definitions.
Yeah, put something to say, see that, because I think,
Let me see.
again, the reason we're doing a guide is to help people become aware of the code of ethics and how it's governed.
I would say as governed by the definitions on the section 32-3, something like that. This way they have a reference point.
You could just take employees and officers And then take out both appointed and elected and replace it with as defined by section 32-3 of the Code of Ethics. And that accomplishes, I think, what Geraldo and Tony are looking for.
Simplifies it simplifies it, and people know where to look to get the information that they need.
Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Tony makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Carl
Second.
Murphy, second.
Kara seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
At the top of page 4, you'll see second paragraph, the state of Connecticut and its agencies may also have their own ethics policies, which in some cases differ from what is to follow. We put in which in some cases may differ from what is to follow, which was just a very small change, which I think helps with the language.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Carl Murphy, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Tony seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion moves. To the bottom of page 4 we go.
Right, so now we're on bottom of page 4. This is subsection A, prohibition of special consideration, officers and employees. And I'll give you guys a moment to take a look at both paragraphs, the one where there are partial redactions, and then the second paragraph where the entire paragraph was removed at the last meeting.
I think the intent there, if I recall correctly, was that officers, employees shall not grant or receive.
That's correct, Tony. It's hard to read with the
Redactions.
scribblers,
Yeah.
but it does say that.
Yeah. Try to zoom in a little bit.
Any discussion related to this? Are we good to go to a vote?
This is just on the same page. If I have a comment about something else on the same page,
Let's
What's that?
focus on this
We're
first.
voting on this particular-
Geraldo, let's focus
Okay,
on this
good.
one first.
yeah, I don't know if you're voting on the page or just on this.
Nope,
item.
just on
I'm
this
good with
section A.
So are we in agreement that it should read officers and employees shall not
Grant
Grant.
or
now
receive.
grant or receive special consideration, treatment, advantage to any person beyond that which is generally available to the public, period, and that eliminates the second paragraph?
Right.
Right.
Any additional discussion, or does people need more time before we go to a vote? Is there a motion to approve this adjustment?
So moved.
Tony makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Second.
Carl Murphy.
Kara seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Go ahead, Geraldo. What's your other page 4 thing before we go on?
On the second paragraph, the last thing where it says is to follow,
Where?
the second paragraph, the last thing that says, the last line in there said differ from what is to follows.
Yep.
The state of Connecticut and its agencies may also have their own ethics policies, which in some cases may differ from what is to follows. Since we just have from what follows,
I'm not following Geraldo. Can you show me where that may be?
Sure.
the second paragraph, the second sentence, it says the state of Connecticut and its agencies may also differ from their own ethics policies, which in some cases may differ from what is to follow.
Is that not proper grammar?
Yeah, my question is, isn't it what follows? I'm saying what is to follow. It's like almost like there's something pending.
Well,
It's not.
no, what is to follow is the following sections, but if somebody, I'm not the English teacher here. To me, that reads properly, but is that not proper English?
It's not the best English, but.
We could say what follows below.
Or
yeah,
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Or just say
I
what
think it's just, I think it's just that it's not fluid. That's the only thing. It could be something simple like the state of Connecticut and its agencies may have their own ethics policy, which may differ from what is whatever below, like someone's like you said.
And all I was saying is what follows, not is to follows. Because what is to follow seems to.
Do you want to just take out follow and say what is below?
What is
Follows
outlined
what-
below?
Okay,
Do you want outline below?
Yeah.
What is
Anything
outlined
else?
below?
my
Unless that's too
reading
wordy
was,
too.
What?
Unless that's too wordy too.
no,
No,
I'm thinking out loud, you know?
no, and I wasn't talking about wordiness, that to follow gave the impression that there's something pending.
They differ from what is outlined below.
That's fine.
Motion to approve this change?
Tara Murphy,
So
so
moved.
moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Geraldo seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
All right, we're now on page 5, and we are in number 2, gifts. And about 2/3 of the way down, just above employment, you'll see discounts obtained. And so we originally said discounts obtained on the price of anything sold. And then we changed it to discounts obtained in the normal course of personal business on the price of anything sold.
I remember this and I'm merely just trying to reacquaint myself with the thought or the argument, what that was. Can anybody?
I
It
think
loo-
one of the things they're talking about was like if somebody went into a bank to try and get a loan or something like that. I think that's one of the things that was coming out, if I recall correctly.
It was a Nora and Lori issue,
Yeah.
but I don't remember the details of it at this point. It's too
I
many
just,
years ago.
I understand the thought, but that latter part there on the price of anything sold, I mean, that's assuming, there's an exchange of, of a product or service. I don't know if that's necessarily appropriate. But I think, and then the same thing with the discounts, but maybe favorable terms. I mean, we're using retail terms is what I'm getting at.
Let me go to gifts and see what it says, because again, this is supposed to be a summary of what's in the code. It's not supposed to be that's not supposed to be. It's, one of the arguments is whether it's supposed to be an exhaustive list or not, but here's,
Yeah, and
Here's gifts.
all I'm just saying is that's fine. I'm not
Yep.
disagreeing with it. I'm just merely pointing out the terms being used would
Right.
lead us to think that there's
Hold
a
on.
physical something instead of just putting it more like favorable terms of any kind.
if you take a look at my screen, I've
Number
split
10.
the screen. Yeah, number 10, 32.8, number 10, is, you take a look at that one, because I think that's the one that we were trying to put into the Citizens Guide.
That is correct.
So here's what we're doing in that bullet. It seems to me, in an effort to recap or summarize maybe 8, 9, and 10, where it looks like we're focusing on 10. Yes or no?
Well, 8
No,
8
it's,
goods or 8 is right above it. Goods or services provided to the city is number 8. meals and refreshments served in an individual's personal home. 8 and 9 are verbatim just on top of that. I'm highlighting it right now. And so number 10 is the one we're talking about. The discounts, you'll see on my screen, I'm highlighting number 10 if I can.
Yep.
And that's the one that's really at issue that has the
I
changes.
Yeah,
think-
because what happens there, we were trying to, we were trying to merely just, I guess, paraphrase, but we wind up quoting, and then when we don't quote something, it looks like it's at odds. So we might as well just quote it verbatim just as well, if we're gonna do the same with 8 and 9, correct?
Well, we didn't copy these things verbatim in besides, well, some of them are copied in verbatim and some of them aren't. We could go through each of
I
them.
think no, let's not revisit
Yeah.
them all. I believe, and I think we're gonna over belabor this point, but the reason we paraphrased or adjusted the words is they wanted to understand in the course of the normal course of personal business, so that there wasn't so people weren't confused by ordinary course of business without regard to the person's status as an officer or employee. I think it's pretty clear in the code, but there was folks here that felt to put it in different terms, for layman terms, if you will. I do think we're over belaboring it because they both say the same thing. Is there anybody that's uncomfortable with the way it's currently written? A discount's obtained in the normal course of business on the price of anything sold.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with it as well.
Tony?
I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm just, we left out the word rebate, not that I think it matters, because a discount could be construed as that too, right? I mean, but that's, if you want to beleaguer the point, and I don't want to go there either.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve this change?
So moved, Carl
So
Murphy.
moved.
Carr makes the motion, Geraldo seconds, all in favor. That would be you, Tony.
Okay.
Opposed? Abstain, motion carries. On to the next.
Nepotism, if I recall correctly, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we separated out nepotism from subsequent employment and made it its own subsection, but you can read, I'll put both of them up on the screen so you can read both. It's at the top of page 5, subsequent employment, and nepotism starts on the bottom of top of page 6. I do have to indent subsequent employment to be consistent.
I'm fine with the change.
Do we have a motion to approve the change?
So moved, Carl Murphy.
Carr makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Kind of follow where the change comes from.
It's just adding nepotism, the word nepotism, and breaking it out.
Okay, good. I'm good.
Geraldo
Second.
seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, Tom's on
Abstained.
mute.
Motion carries. On to the next.
Right,
Pro-
this is just below it, procurement. There's a minor change where we added the words with the city. I'll read the sentence for everybody. It's up on my screen. If people are looking at the video, you can see it on
Mhm.
share screen. The city of Norwalk has adopted a set of procurement guidelines that govern the purchase of goods and services by the city. Vendors and contractors who wish to do business with the city must comply with the procurement guidelines, which are available on the Norwalk Norwalk Purchasing Department's website, and we list the website. So we just added with the city, so everyone was clear what we were talking about.
Any issues with this?
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
All right, sounds like, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved, Carter Murphy.
Second. Say that again, Geraldo. Do we have a second?
I said second, yeah.
Thank you, Geraldo. Seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Making some good progress, guys. I appreciate it.
I have,
Um,
not nitpicking, I have one on the second. He doesn't have any correction on there, but I have a question on the second.
Where are we, Geraldo?
Number 5, the second paragraph, no officer or employee shall use or authorize to use city-owned
Right.
property. I think that should be the. It would-
Right,
no
it's,
officer
right, so just get rid of two
use
U's, right?
of- Yeah, change to the and then put after use is of. So it's no officer or employee shall use or authorize the use of city-owned property.
I'm fine with that change.
I'll count that as a motion by Kara to go with that change. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Tony seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
All right, we're on page 8. It's in subsection E. There's a minor change. We removed a comma. I'll highlight it and then read it. Unless the Board of Ethics advises you, in parentheses, the complainant, and parentheses, otherwise, the allegations in the complaint and other information received from the Board of Ethics may not be disclosed to any third party by you, in parentheses, the complainant. So we just removed the comma there.
Can you just scroll down to the remainder of the page one? We'll do both at once.
Oh, and then remainder of page left intentionally blank.
Do I hear a motion to approve both of those changes?
So moved, Carter.
Kara
Murphy.
moves. Second.
Second.
Geraldo seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
All right, so page 9 is
Hold up,
the.
Go ahead,
float-
Geraldo.
Yep, go ahead,
Wait,
Geraldo.
go, this is a question to Brian too. I'm not clear on what the guide is stating, where it says that deliver your complaint, et cetera, number 3D,
3D?
yeah, from the previous page on B, requirements.
Page
Yep.
7.
So the one question, just in case that, does it have to be delivered in person or can it be mailed? Because it says deliver, and someplace I read, it said fax or email complaints will not be accepted. But can it be submitted in the mail or it has to be hand delivered?
Either one, mailed or hand delivered.
Okay. Should we state something in there? Because this, when I read it, I wondered, does it say you have to deliver it by hand? It just says deliver your complaint and then it's
Well, So Geraldo,
envelope to
because
the city clerk's office.
because
What
it
is it?
specifies no fax or email
Mhm.
at face value, and I'm open to somebody pointing out something I can't think of off the top of my head, but at face value, the only other way to deliver it is in person or via email.
No,
And
Oh, man, you mean?
I mean,
yeah.
visit snail mail. Sorry, I didn't mean email. Sorry. To deliver it in person or snail mail, and both of those would be acceptable to us. But is there a third way that I'm not thinking of that somebody could try to skew this, to skirt this?
Sure, they could deliver it anyway, but I wanted to know what our policy was. That was really two things. They could do it through UPS or FedEx. That's not too.
Right, as long as it gets
Well,
delivered via the mail or in person. If somebody ends up delivering it, where mailman, UPS, FedEx to the city clerk,
Okay, I don't know if
That's
it meant it had to be hand delivered to the city clerk, the way I read it. So.
No, you can either mail it or in person it to the city clerk.
All right,
Okay,
proceed.
Yeah, I think it's implied.
All right, so did we vote on the changes on the
Yes.
minor change? Okay, so now we're on page 9 is page 1 of Kara's flow chart, which is the process, and then page 2 is the process by which you would follow. On page 10, so now we're on page 11. No changes on page 11. And page 12 is the beginning of the complaint form. It says see next page for complaint form. So people again don't think that there's something that was removed
Mhm.
or should be there that isn't. And then page 1 of 4 is the start of the complaint. Plenty of lines for people to use. Plus they could always use an extra page. Page 2 again, more for them to fill out what they need to fill out. Page 3, there's a minor change, as you can see here at the top of page 3 under subsection 5. I need to zoom in to see what this is because I can't really see it. It looks like a period was removed and a colon was added. Right there.
Do we have a motion to approve deleting a period and adding a colon?
So moved, Cara Murphy.
Second? I will I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Oh, and Geraldo, I think this answers your question from earlier where we said fax and email will not be accepted.
Yeah.
If you take a look at the top of page 16 under note number 1, it says this complaint will not be considered filed without the name, home address, which is a change, and original signature of the complainant. Mail or hand deliver this complaint in a sealed envelope too, and then it
Okay.
adds it. And then it says complaints will not be accepted electronically, in parentheses, email or by fax.
Should
if they-
we add after fax in parentheses facsimile?
We can do that.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just sorry. I'm kidding.
I would ask the other way in the section that I was questioning, should we put mail or hand deliver like it states here?
I don't think we need to make that adjustment since it is put here. It's implied there, it's explained here, so I think it covers the basis.
I think we're also covered because if people are not going to read the entire citizen's guide, they're certainly going to read the form, and this is page 4 out of 4 on the form. If they're going to read anything, it's going to be the form itself where they could lodge a
Yep.
complaint.
The only place I differ, I think the reason you put or we have a user's guide is to make it simple that people would have the answers that they're looking for.
Well, this note is attached to the actual complaint form.
Right.
Which I think is what the point that Michael and Brian are trying to make, because these 4 pages are the actual complaint form with the instructions.
Right, this is what they'll be needing to fill out and provide to us, so it'll be right there for them.
All right.
Related to the change in section 1 that says adding home address, do I have a motion to approve that change?
So moved, Cara Murphy.
Do I have a second?
A second.
We'll give Tony that one. Tony seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
The final change, Michael, again, that you guys have to vote on is to move to approve the amendment where I will insert the entire code of ethics, the current code of ethics that was just approved under subsection 4 on page 17.
I'll make that motion to permit Attorney Candela to insert the entire code of ethics, and also when he finalizes all the red lines, he may need to adjust the pagination and the numbers on the table of contents
Yes.
And I moved that we authorize him to do that without returning to the Board of Ethics.
Do I have a second?
So move.
Tony seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Right.
Abstained? Motion carries.
Great. What date would you like me to insert on the Citizens Guide on the first page? Like me to put that it was approved on September 23?
I would
Yeah.
say,
Yes. So motion to approve the date, actually do this official. I'm just going back to the top. On page 1 of the Citizens Guide to the Norwalk Code of Ethics, motion to approve inserting the date as September 23rd, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Cara Murphy.
Second,
Second.
Geraldo
And-
second.
That's what it'll look like.
All abstained, nobody abstained. Motion carries. Did I hear somebody pop champagne? No?
Uh,
I think Tony did. He's not on video like me, so maybe there was some champagne popping there.
We'll
If
get-
not premature, Brian, and correct me if I am, but I think that completes our approvals of said Citizens Guide of the Code of Ethics, and I'd like to take the time to thank all of my fellow members of the Code of Ethics, those here and those not here, including Nora, who is no longer with us, Mickey, who is not here, Lori, who is not here, and those that have come before to put us in this position. I'd like to thank everybody for their patience, their time, their contributions, communication, and working together on this. It's been a pleasure, so thank you all.
it was a great collaborative effort.
for your hard work.
And thank you for your leadership, Michael.
And thank you for the support staff. Couldn't do without them either.
Yes, and a thank you and a special thank you to Assistant Corporation Counsel Brian Candela, not only being a great advisor on legal matters and a great connection to the city, but also great at note taking and being a great secretary and making all these amendments.
Yep.
A man of many hats, so thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ryan.
And done while at New Parenthood Road.
Yes, there you go.
I will, after I finish the paginations and everything, and it's all finalized with the changes, I will email each of you a copy. And then we can decide, once I get that out to everybody, then we'll go to the process of making sure that the Citizens Guide a link to the Citizens Guide and a link to the Code of Ethics itself can also be found on the Board of Ethics website located on the city's website.
Awesome.
To leave us with tonight, I want the folks here to, now that we've finally completed this, we could start to think about how to get this out to the city and the people that need to be aware of this, all the employees and officers, and start to adjust your mindset to how we can do that. And make particular note about being creative during a COVID environment, what possibilities we might do related to that. And so at our next meeting, we could start discussing that responsibility and cover that end of our responsibilities as this board.
I agree, Michael.
Definitely agree that we should. That's a deliverable that's pending. The next deliverable is coming up with a process of how we're going to communicate.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're all excited to shift gears and get to that part of the process now.
And by the way, I think it's twofold. It's one is this initial communication, but also what's our ongoing communication to keep people aware. As an example, following election, etc., you will have change of officers, you know, change of employment. So I think it's how do we communicate to roll this out now, but what's the ongoing process that we want to implement?
Agreed. And like anything, we'll take the first step first and then continue it on. But this is a great time to shift our attention to that and start, letting our mind be creative and come to the meeting next month ready to discuss and put a plan in action. Is there anything else from anybody before we have a motion to adjourn?
Just a comment.
Yes, by all means.
I don't know where the city of Norwalk is with this, but and I'm not proposing to do this right now because it's a lot, but I think one of the things we're going to face in the near future is looking at making some adjustment with gender neutral pronouns in our documents, because that's something a lot of institutions are facing.
Geraldo, are you referring to the actual ordinances?
In different documents. I'm just saying in the documents in general, not.
Yes, we could certainly take that under consideration.
I'm just saying as a future. Yeah, sorry, I'm just saying as a future, Mike. I'm not proposing that something done that, but it's to make us aware of that.
No, I appreciate it. You, as many things, are always ahead of the curve and forward thinking. So I appreciate having your thoughts on this, and we'll certainly keep that in mind as things progress and follow what the city's doing and go from there. So thank you for that. Anything else before motion? Excellent. Well, again, I thank you all. Specifically, Geraldo, I wish you good health. I wish everybody on here and your families, excuse me, continued good health. And look forward to seeing everybody. I'll even try to maybe get a camera. Actually, Brian, is the city starting to have meetings in person again?
No, there's an executive order that allows virtual meetings through April of next year, April of 2022 at a minimum.
Holy crap. All right. So I'll look forward to seeing you all virtually in a month. Thank you all. A motion to adjourn.
So move.
Tony makes a motion. Second.
Cara Murphy, second.
Cara seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Abstained. I forget the other one. Against. Motion carries. Everybody have a good night. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you in October.
Be
Thank
safe,
you. Have a good
everybody.
night, everyone.
Good health, everybody. Be safe.
All right.
Thanks for the well wishes.